target is for the future. All right, should I keep going, Melissa?
Yes, so welcome. So again, thank you,
Great.
Sabrina Woods, for joining us tonight. If you have any questions, add them into the chat. There will be time at the end as well. Ask you to keep your screen muted and to turn off your camera if possible. And thank you again. Yes, Sabrina, please.
All right, we'll kick it right off. So one thing is we'll be doing a little bit of reflection because we're going to talk about content for your profile, including the about summary section. So look around your office or your living room and see if you can grab a piece of paper and a pen. There's something different about doing some brainstorming with pen and paper, but if you only want to just use it on, do a Word doc, that's also fine. All right, so I'm going to see if Melissa can share out, and it's not too late to still add in where you're located. It's one of the things we're trying to do tonight is not just inform you about LinkedIn, but also help you connect with each other. So at the very end, we'll even invite you to drop your LinkedIn URL onto something called a Jamboard so that you could connect with each other. But for this moment, let's just have Melissa share a couple of the comments that are in the chat box to find out who you are, what you're up to. Oh, and you're on mute, so we'll have you unmute, Melissa. Yeah,
I just muted myself. Okay, thank you. Yes, I did. Yeah. So we have a student who's Master's of Public Health from class of 2020 and is working at Care Alliance Health Center and is here to learn more about LinkedIn. And actually that person is in Cleveland, Ohio. So welcome from Cleveland. We have someone who is from Boston and is currently employed as an ambulatory care pharmacist. Sabrina is from Rhode Island. We have a student who's interested in outpatient, working in outpatient community, a December graduate who's a nursing assistant at Leahy Hospital and looking for work in clinical research. We have a doctor of physical therapy from Worcester who's looking for physical therapy positions in the North Shore and Boston area. And a pharmacy grad from the Boston campus.
Fantastic. That helps just give me a little sense of you. So thank you for adding that into the chat box. My hope is we'll make this a pretty dynamic and engaging session. So let's jump right in. Because I'm a holistic coach, I want to actually really ask you how you're doing. And to do that, we're going to use annotate. When you look at your screen at the very top, it will say you are viewing Sabrina Woods' screen, view options. The third on the drop down, at least on mine, will show annotate. So take a moment and see if you can find annotate. So again, view options, drop down, annotate. And then once you're there, my invitation to you is to share how you're doing. So you can add in stamp, you can draw, and you can choose, there's hearts, there's check marks, there's X's, there's text boxes, lots of ways to interact with this. And in a moment, I'm going to ask you a little deeper how you're doing, because I really want to honor that things are really challenging right now, and they have been challenging for quite some time. So I really sort of, as I'm working with my individual clients and as I teach webinars, I'm trying to do these check-ins to say, how are you? Like for real, because we've got a lot of stress for so many of us right now. And when I think of your field, I think of this chronic overwork, right? I think of the demands that have been on you in the health sciences. It has been quite extraordinary. So nice for us to just weigh in for a moment. Give you one more second on this slide to channel your inner 5-year-old if you want to scribble. Yeah, it's just this moment to check in with yourself as well as to check in with us. All right, I'm now going to actually clear that because I'm going to invite us to do one more deeper question. So I'm going to do clear all, turn it off for a second and go to the next slide, because what I'm asking here is, if things feel challenging or hard, In what ways are they hard for you? So you could use the annotate again and check mark or heart or star or anything to go back in and share what's happening, what's hard. I know that there's global conflicts all the way down to maybe everyday anxiety. And most of the people I'm working with right now have some degree of isolation or anxiety, or they're just really tired. And, you know, when I was on a walk right before this, I realized I forgot to put financial struggles or concerns. And so that's another one. And someone could write that in with a text box. Yep. And the one I knew was going to be big is that very first one. The challenges and the amount and intensity of your work right now and how it has been for many, many months, going on past 2 years, really, for how hard it's been during that time period. So I want you to also know you're not alone in what you're going through and what we're going through collectively. So thank you for just weighing in and letting us know that work challenges, anxiety, depression, or some worry, right, are those are the two I'm seeing the most showing up right now. All right, thank you for doing that. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to clear those off, and then I'm going to close out annotate for the moment. Let me just do that real quick here. And then we'll move on. Okay. What I'd like to do, given the challenges that we have in our present day, is invite you to take a couple of deep breaths with me. I do this because many of you come from hectic classes or a busy work schedule. I find that taking a few deep breaths actually helps us more arrive to this moment and therefore be able to take in more information, because I've got a bunch of cool things to share with you tonight. So here we go. I'm going to uncross my legs. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a deep breath in. I'm going to hold for 4 counts, and then I'm going to exhale. Here we go. Deep breath in. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Slow exhale. Next breath in. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. Last really deep breath in. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. Ah. Thanks for letting me do that. I just get this slightly calmer sensation whenever I do these deep breaths. All right. So I am going to go and share with you a little bit about what we're going to cover tonight. I want to talk specifically about a few things, not just what's valuable or why you should spend time on LinkedIn, but I want you to leave here getting a better sense on what you might want to include in that headline and why it's important. Dive into our About Summary section and look at featured media links and posts. We'll look at some other things too, but those are 3 I want us to spend a little bit of time on. We'll then pivot a little bit, and we're going to talk more about your networking. We're going to talk about expanding your reach, make a side trip discussing informational interviews. They're my favorite job search tool. And in general, how can you be strategic to grow your presence using LinkedIn to set you up for all your future career growth? All right, stories also help bring this tool to life. So I was teaching a session to science graduate students at Brandeis. And Ranjit sent me this message. He said, I'm joining a new job beginning May 1st. I strongly believe that your valuable help in putting together a professional profile on LinkedIn helped me get the offer. By the way, if you ever have something cool happen on LinkedIn, please send me these messages, because it's so great when we can use these real examples. Now, as you can imagine, I wanted to know more. So Ranjit wrote back and said, regarding how I know it may have helped, I could see on LinkedIn that there were more people in the biotech sector that were looking at my profile. Now, this part 2 is really interesting. He also said, my profile helped me connect with a few prospective colleagues at the company with added confidence. So the process that I want to take you through tonight is about adding content to your LinkedIn, but my hope is it's going to add to your confidence and your clarity of what you bring to the table. So it's not just what's going to go on paper, so to speak, in your profile, what's going to be text in there, but I'm hoping it really helps you think about how you're presenting yourself in networking meetings, how you're presenting yourself in interviews, how you're carrying yourself in terms of what you have to offer. So let me also share another past client that I worked with. After Marco changed his headline and some of his content, he got found by a recruiter for a contract job that he's still on today. And this was like a year ago because of some of that keyword with both Italian language skills and his legal research. Very cool that that was his way of landing his position. I've got a picture of a pub here, the Oddfellows, in a small town in the UK. This is a story, actually, of how in August I met up with Leanne Hambley for lunch. You're probably wondering, what does that have to do with LinkedIn? Well, probably about 5 or 6 years ago, I met Leanne because she sent me a LinkedIn invitation to connect. I reached out to her. I said, you have an amazing background. I'd love to chat. So we had kind of an informational interview, which we'll dive into more shortly. We ended up clicking so much on that phone call or that Zoom call that we ended up connecting multiple times. And I sat in on a training while I was in London, while she was the presenter. That same trip, she sat in on one of my trainings at the University of London on the topic of LinkedIn, actually. And since then, we've had lots of collaboration back and forth. So much so that when I was in Wolverhampton, she drove an hour and a half to have lunch. So I tell you this story because there's way more than just job search going on here on LinkedIn. There are collaborations and connections that are happening that can enrich our experience, both professionally and personally. All right, but let's dive into some of the nuts and bolts. I'm going to pop up a poll to find out, or have Melissa pop up a poll to find out, have you customized that headline that falls underneath your name? This is super important real estate. This travels with you everywhere you go on LinkedIn, so that makes it exceptionally important. I'll give you a second to answer the poll. And my hope is that you give this assignment to yourself to work more on your headline after tonight, if you haven't already customized it. Or if you've customized it, but it doesn't fully represent where you're headed next. That's what we want to set you up for. Okay. Tell me if how we coming with that poll, Melissa. And we'll have you come off mute and you can just let us know.
So we have 85% have responded so far. Let's see, I don't know, is there a way I can share the poll?
Yeah, what you can do is you can hit end poll and then you'll be a button for share as well.
Okay, I'll give it 2 more. All right, so end poll and share results.
Wow. Melissa, does that surprise you a little bit? 66% haven't customized yet?
No, actually, it doesn't surprise. Okay. To be honest, it doesn't. Actually, it doesn't surprise me because I think that people don't realize the importance of it, and they see it as like, oh, it's just a little title that the rest of it is more important, and more time crafting that than that. I'm not surprised.
Okay.
That they don't how cool it is.
Yeah. So now you'll be thinking differently because it's so important in a recruiter's search, the keywords that you have in there. And it really sets you up for anybody that's landing on your profile. They're going to see those couple of words, and then that's going to hopefully explain more about who you are and what you have to offer. So let's go in and actually share some examples. Let's say you're a current student. Well, you can add in some of those details about what you're studying, but then you can also add in what you're interested in. You might be interested in osteopathic, alternative medicine, and other approaches that treat the whole person. What a cool way to differentiate you from another student or another candidate. Another example would be this one, where this pharmacy doctorate student who's finishing up this year talks about how she enjoys learning the latest technology to improve those efficiencies and effectiveness of the operations within a pharmacy. So again, what is it that can help you stand out from other individuals, especially when you're in job search mode? Okay, for those of you who are alumni, I like this example because it shows that you could even include that you're interested in fitness and photography. Like, this is the differentiator between a resume. You're not usually going to put that on a resume, but in LinkedIn, you can show off more of who you are. A couple more examples. Here we have a PA who might also be a patient advocate and a relationship builder. And lastly, someone who's involved in clinical trials, listing all of her specific things that she's good with: regulatory affairs, business development, translational medicine being a category. So we can really pack this with keywords or something more specific about how we like to add value. All right, I like this one for fun. Excuse me. I love chocolate, so when I see M&Ms, it makes me smile. This is actually a real headline that I came across on LinkedIn. What you can see here is someone is just showing their playful side, right? And she's included adventurous and kind-hearted. We can be more than just our skill set here in the LinkedIn space. All right, what we're moving into next, and I'm going to have you do some work on during this session, is the idea about how you can use the About Summary section to tell your story. Okay, but let's do a quick poll. Have you added in any content? And it might be like, no, or it might be, Sabrina, I've got a little in there, but it's or yeah, I'm good. It's in good shape. So we'll have Melissa go ahead and pop up the poll and tell us where you're at. Let's see if that next poll, there it goes. Awesome. Thank you, Melissa. And we'll give you a moment to answer that.
You're welcome. And let's give it, people are much quicker this time in answering the poll than they were last time.
Jumping in at it. And I've got lots of polls tonight because I really wanted to get a sense of you as an audience, so I know where to add extra information and where to pull back.
Give it another 2 seconds. And all right, so I am going to end the poll and I will share it.
Okay. Hey, not too bad. We've got 54% that have a summary, or sorry, have that About section summary filled out at least a little bit. Not too bad, right? I think that number was a little bit better than the headline. Yeah. Okay.
And I think, and I would just say from reviewing, and I could ask my colleagues who are on the video too, on the link. I would almost say that sometimes I think students that I've worked with spend more time on their About section and the summary section than they do the other one. And so that would be my guess. So
yeah, a theme you've seen in the Career Center.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So, all right. We'll go ahead and jump to, we'll jump into a short reflection exercise, because if you're going to work on this LinkedIn profile, we need to have some content. We need to take the pressure off in the moment. So I want to guide you through an opportunity I want to ask you some questions, and then you'll have some content that you might be able to add in. So again, grab that pad of paper and that pen. Okay, and we're going to take this pause. I want you to think further along. Where do you want your path, your career path, to take you? And I've got this fun phrase. I want you to think about your best possible future self, right? So we're being more idealistic in this moment, and we're talking about down the line. You can choose the time frame. Is this next month? Is this next year? Is this 5 years out? But that's what we want, best possible future self. Now I'm going to have you do more of those deep breaths, because this pausing puts you back in touch with sort of that intuitive, wise self to get you the best responses to these questions that I'm going to ask you. So here we go. I'll have a little help from another visual. So breath in and out. Another one. And out. Last one. And out. All right. So coming back to this question, write down anything that comes to mind about your best possible future self. What does she or he look like? What are you doing? If we're talking idealistically. And I'm going to set a little timer and give you a full minute to think on that one before I move on. Write down anything that comes to mind. No critiques. Okay. I'm going to go through some more questions and I want you to just keep writing. This is another way to ask the question, but it may elicit some different responses. What's your future dream job? You choose the scope of time, but I want you to stay with that dream-like. If there weren't restrictions, if there weren't financial concerns, if there weren't location concerns, just write about your dream job in any way you can. Let yourself fly on this one. Don't hold back. I'm going to add to that question, let you keep writing. Think about your talents, your natural talents, your strengths. What are those transferable and knowledge-based skills or characteristics that you love to use, especially? What are your key skills and strengths? Jot down anything that comes to mind. Another question I want to ask is, tell me about your interests and or your values. Workplace values could be anything from, oh, I like flexibility, to creativity, to fairness and equity. What is it in a workplace setting that you value and or some interests? So we'll give you another 30 seconds on that one. Try and pay attention especially to what brings you joy or satisfaction. What are those tasks or things you're doing when you're maybe in flow state, kind of like in the zone? And the last question I'm going to ask you is, step outside yourself for a moment. How would your colleagues describe you? What are you known for? If someone gave you a reference, what do you think they'd say? Try and step outside yourself and jot down a few words, and they might be personal characteristics, right? Could be, I got high contagious energy, right? So it could be something like that. See what comes up. I'm going to be quiet for another 30 seconds for you. And that's your last question. All right. So I'm hoping this was fruitful and gave you a couple of key words. The idea I have behind this process is we want our About section and other parts of our LinkedIn profile to reflect what's next, where you're headed. If you look at my profile, you actually won't see much of the words resume, cover letter, interviewing. That seems strange, right? Because I'm a career coach, but I can do those. But my aspirational self is more about international speaking engagements. It's about running retreats, like for mindfulness, including mindfulness. So what you'll find when you look at my summary or about section is those things that I want more of. That's how I want you to design your about section. You still need some supporting, obviously some supporting experiences and talents expressed there, but I want you to think really forward when you do this. The next thing I want to do is give you a chance to just chat with each other, okay? In this chats, you will be in a small group, 3 or 4 people, and we will have you just say, are there 2 or 3 words from this exercise that might manage to make it somewhere in your LinkedIn profile, on your headline, about section, experience section, skills section, doesn't matter where. But I think by having a little dialogue, and again, you get into the small group, only going to do 5 minutes. And right now, Melissa's working on putting those together. So this is your opportunity to kind of test the waters with some of these words, just share them out, and also make some more connections. Connecting with others is such a powerful part of growing our career. And you're a collective cohort of students and alumni from the same university. What a great opportunity this is. So I will check in with Melissa and see if she's had a chance to put in breakout rooms. And all you have to do is hit go.
2 more
And
seconds.
you might introduce yourself starting with alphabetical by first name. So anybody who starts with Amy or Adam would go first. Sometimes that helps you figure out who should speak first in your small group.
All right, hold on. I'm just assigning them.
And I gave her this breakout room kind of last minute because I decided we did have time for it. So I didn't give her the chance to pre-program it in. So thanks for working with me on the fly, Melissa. It's really
We're
great.
good. All good. We're almost there.
Great.
And 1 more set. Okay. All right. So all the rooms should be in and you should all be able to join. I think if I did it right.
Yeah, we'll check this out. So spend a couple of minutes meeting some colleagues and fellow students. And we will set the timer. I'm going to go ahead and set the timer I'll set it for 4 minutes and then we'll work. I think most breakout rooms have 1 minute before closing, right? Oh, we have Jamar in room.
Oh,
Okay, now there's somebody else with, okay, great. I'm just seeing if there's anybody that's alone. Okay,
I'm gonna move
alone.
this person to room 1. And I've got
Do you want me to move Jasmine to room 5?
Sure. I'm gonna move this person to room 10.
Are you moving Jasmine or oh, no, we've got someone that just joined room 6, so we're good.
Yeah, I'm just trying to scroll down. I think
we're pretty good.
so too.
Nice job. Not easy because I know not everybody's able to join. And I know we still have some people here that just need to not join the room, and we're totally okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. Great, great, great. It's just nice. Nice opportunity to chat with each other. Okay, and I've got the timer set so you don't have to worry.
Okay.
Melissa, do you think it's set with a 60-second warning?
I don't necessarily think so because I have a close all rooms button. So I think I can do a broadcast message to all, and I can close all rooms are my two options. So
often they have a countdown and with the breakouts. So we'll find out in a few minutes. It's okay.
Yeah, I also can send a broadcast message if we want to.
Yeah, I often will do that and say you've got 1 minute left. And yeah. All right, great. Fantastic. I just have to stand for 1 second. I sit too long. All right, we're at the 4-minute mark. We'll wait another 30 seconds and then we will, I can actually do a broadcast message too. Do you want me to do it? Or do you want to?
I can do it. That's fine. What are we giving them? 30, it's 1 more minute or 30?
You can just write in the, we can write in the broadcast message. There's probably a 60-second countdown. So you can pop open broadcast message and just say, you have 1 more minute.
All right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right. And then I usually wait a few seconds. And then I will wait another 10 seconds and then we can do close all rooms. Do you do many of these, Melissa?
We haven't, in terms of the breakout rooms, we haven't had workshops that we've done a lot with the breakout rooms. So this is, so I'm sort of, I'm, it's been a while since I've done it, but I'm learning.
Yeah, no, you're doing great. We can go ahead and hit close all rooms now.
Okay. There we go.
There's our 60-second countdown. Perfect.
Okay. Talk about new skills.
We got to keep enhancing these. I don't think this Zoom stuff's ever going to go away now.
No, which is, in some ways, there's been some good parts of that too.
Yeah, you've been able to stay connected with alumni that are all across the country.
Mhm.
Hey, Anne, nice to see you.
Hey, yes, Sabrina, likewise.
Hi, glad you're
Hey.
here. I saw your name. It's great. Great to have you, as always. All right, another couple seconds here. Welcome everybody back. Okay. Great.
Right.
I hope it was interesting just to be able to chat with some other individuals and maybe even make some connections and voice what you're going to be putting in the future down in that LinkedIn profile. We really want tonight to not just be lecture. We want you to be involved. We want you to really think about.
But then,
Oh, we've got someone talking. Maybe we better just mute those. Okay, great. All right, so we're going to carry on. Let's take a closer peek at some samples so that you get a sense on, what's possible, what are some good ideas or some best practices. Here's my profile summary section. It has an opening statement, and then I've chunked it out into 3 pieces because we all know that no one reads anymore. We scan. And so you want to make sure that if you're using a paragraph style, make them very short paragraphs. If you're going to use bullets, then put it into sections if you can. Great way for things to stand out, right? Now, let's take you through a sample student. This is a real student I worked with a number of years ago, a Harvard GSAS student. So Jessica writes, I'm a research scientist seeking to better understand how neural activity motivates and shapes human behavior. So that's her intro sentence. And she goes in and she spells out some of her key skills from project design to data analysis. And the statement about, I love to generate new ideas and devise feasible solutions to broadly relevant problems. She goes on to talk about personality. What is it about her that stands out among other research scientists and PhD candidates? So here she has words like driven, resourceful, proactive. I think those are phenomenal traits to have in a scientist. I'm guessing you'd agree. With Jessica, because she's a current graduate student, she's been able to put then what's happening next, what she's targeting. So if you're in those shoes, you might decide to talk about what you're currently seeking. And if you like Jessica's example, feel free to jump into my website, sabrina-woods.com, which is also connected on the handout. And you can see Jessica among a whole bunch of other ones. I even have some before afters for scientists. So makeovers for scientists. So you can check those out before after LinkedIn profiles. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick pause to see if there are any questions. Don't know if anything's popped up in chat, or if you want to come off mute, you're welcome to, or you can type something into Melissa. And I'll have other moments where I pause too. But just checking in to see if anything is popping up for you that you'd like to ask.
At the moment, we don't have any questions that have popped up.
All right, pop them in there whenever, and I'm going to keep us going. Maybe more things are gonna come up. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do stop sharing and go back in so I can share again, and we'll go right into LinkedIn itself. We want to be able to. That didn't go as planned. Hang on one second. Okay, share screen. It's still not doing what I want it to do. Let's see if I can jump over here. All right, here we go. So when we first jump into LinkedIn, you're on your home page. I'm going to take us over to my profile. So I'm just clicking on my name on the left. You probably already know this, but anywhere there is a pencil, you can make those edits. The headline being right here. And I want to call out, some of you might enjoy using these symbols. Okay, can you see the symbols in between my headline? You can go in and take them from my profile or from anyone else's profile. Control C, Control V to cut paste on a PC if you want to add those in. The next thing is there's a little button here that says add profile section. This is where you can really customize LinkedIn. So when you pop this open, I especially want to, well, actually I want to scroll down additional. You can see things like patents and projects, publications, okay? There's just all different things that you can put in here. So you might want to peruse this and think about, oh yeah, I have a certification. Go for it and add it in there, or some sample courses. So just pop around here and see what's going to be the most relevant to you so you can customize that section for yourself. All right. Next on here, what I wanted to mention as I scroll down is this featured section. I'm going to come back up in a second, but featured allows you to connect to a blog post, a website, a video, anything that you want that's a URL. Or if you've posted something on your homepage, you can turn that into a featured link. You'll see I have shared a post related to Black Lives Matter. What's nice about this is I shared that post on LinkedIn homepage, and then I was able to turn it into featured content so that people have a better sense of where my values lie. So I can sort of broadcast what's important to me as well as what I'm skilled in, okay? So you can peruse through here and you can see lots of examples of featured content, articles, PowerPoints, etc. So you might think, whether you're a student or an alum, is there something that I've done that I could bring into this section? Because it allows you to show off or demonstrate your skills by having some examples put in here. This is a great tool. Popping back up to the About section, I'm just going to do the See More button so you can see mine. Some people will include their contact information right in there because that a recruiter doesn't have to be connected to you to be able to message you, which is nice. I also do a section of a whole bunch of keywords. You can just use the word specialties. And within the pharmacy and health sciences, there's so many important keywords. So for you, I especially want to see those keywords showing up in headline, in the summary section, and in your experience section, as well as in skills, which we're going to get to in just one second. Remember, we were talking about symbols just a second ago. You can come to my profile if you happen to like one of these and copy them and bring them into your own. So this is when theft is completely okay and encouraged. All right. I think from here, I'm going to jump down to the skills section. Sorry about the big scroll. I'm going to skip experience because that's where you can just drop in what's on your resume. But all the way down to skills. What I want you to do here is I want you to look at future job postings and to help you figure out what are the 3 most important skills and then put them in here because it's those top 3 that show up first. People have to click the show all to see the rest of them. To add new ones, use the plus sign, and to edit them, move them around, you use the pencil. Okay. Now, I want to take you on a side trip journey. Melissa's going to drop 2 links into chat. One is going to be for something called, there's so many things that I can say about Career Explorer. That's why I dropped in Donna's article instead. So all I'm going to do is a very fast demo, but I highly recommend coming back to it. We'll explain how it's useful, but LinkedIn has taken a lot of the skill words and made some sense out of it, connecting it to jobs, and can help you as you're growing in your career. So travel with me. It's a long scroll. Sorry about that. To get all the way down, that's just describing what this tool is. You can skip that until you get here where it says select city. I'm going to drop in Boston since so many of you are in that general vicinity. And I'm going to go for it and just use the word pharmacist. I'm going to start typing it in, and then I can start to pick out all different words, but I'm just going to go for regular pharmacist. The first thing I want to call out to you is look at all the skills listed. This is your opportunity to go through a checklist. If you have some of those skills, then I recommend adding it to your skills section and also to your experience. And in some cases, it's going to be headline or about section as well. Part 2, if you're making a career change or you're thinking about your career growth, this tool will help you figure out what skills you need to gain to move into that role. Let's just take one that's right in front of us. This is pharmacy manager. What you see in the middle is skills to build. So medication adherence, Medicare Part D, pharmaceutics, excuse me. And there's a visual right here about the overlap. So they might both have patient education, but a pharmacy manager is going to have pharmacy benefit management. So I really like this tool. It even gives you popularity. It's very high in popularity. It's got a 10 and the match, 98%. So we can look down. If we scroll a little ways, you'll see popularity moving from pharmacist to pharmacy specialist is only a 0.4. It's just less frequent. So maybe it's an untapped opportunity. So again, I'm giving this such a brief run through, but I at least wanted you to be introduced to it so you could circle back. Okay, so from here, let's jump back into PowerPoint, and we're going to shift gears away from profile and back into back to networking, or starting to talk about networking. And I'm assuming you can see my screen still, so I'll have Melissa will tell me if not, but
Yep.
let's talk about the great. Okay, I just had to make sure so I didn't mess it up. Let's first say, when you're sending out those invites, add in those details. You know, a quick message. You know, thanks for being my neighbor. Great, great to have you, and thought I would connect with you here on LinkedIn as well. So, add that personal message. And then the next thing I want to talk about is that homepage. Now, many of you are using things like Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat. Snapchat still around? I think it is. TikTok, all these other platforms. How often, if at all, are you using your homepage to post updates? So Melissa's going to pop up a poll so we can find out, no, you're not on your homepage adding content, or yeah, you're on there here and there. Now, you might be someone who's just doing the like button. So this is more than the like button. I'm trying to find out, have you ever actually posted content? Here's an interesting article I found. My guess is, and most of the time I do these sessions, people haven't really started doing much of actual posting. And that's sort of a missed opportunity that we want to talk about to help you grow your presence, grow your connections, right? Because it can help you with that career growth, help you land that next job. Okay, so I'll turn it back over to Melissa. What is it looking like for our results here?
Can you see the poll now? Oh, share result. Oops.
Yeah, I just hit that share results button for you.
Oh, all right.
All right. So about what I expected, there are a couple of you that are sharing once or twice, maybe per month. All right, so good job. Good job to that group. Let's give you some ideas so that this doesn't feel so foreign or so challenging. So I'm going to jump in here and give you some examples. One is simply sharing a quote. It can be that simple. I use Hootsuite, and every Monday I have a Mindful Monday quote or statement, or a couple of sentences that are thoughtful. So you could think, is there something once in a while that I want to share with my community? I also like to share other people's work. So Lynn Chang was doing a work from home wellness retreat. So I gave her a shout out. You can see Lynn and Shay Key's names are both in blue. It means I used the @ sign to tag them so that they knew that I was talking about them. This is often reciprocal, so Shay or Lynn might comment on some of my work or share something that I'm doing. This is a nice way to build reciprocity and grow your community. Video has become popular. The only thing I'm going to say is make sure it's on brand and not something that you'd normally put in another social media, a more social media. So this one was a video of a waterfall where I stopped to do a mindfulness sort of meditation break. Because I'm a mindfulness advocate and I use sort of mindfulness in my coaching work, it's on brand for me and it fits. So that's the only thing we want to be cautious of, is make sure it's not too social. It's more related to your career. And you'll see even scientists are on here. Look at this, 30 likes and 3 comments. I know nothing about 3-photon imaging of mouse brain structure, but I was thinking it was very cool that this had lots of interaction. Okay, so I want to share a quick little story. You might have, just a small network, but you might be surprised on how it might grow. In this example, Jim Peacock, a first level connection of mine, was sharing a good article by someone named Byron. I was like, oh, that's cool. So I said, thanks, Jim. And I tagged Byron, even though he's a second level connection. And I said, I'm actually collecting resources right now. I'm going to add this to my handout. Do you know what happened the next day? Totally surprised. Byron sent me a LinkedIn request to connect with him. And he was one of LinkedIn's top voices back in 2019. Nice person for me to be directly connected to. So you never know when you're helping others, giving people a shout out, tagging them. You never know when that kind of helping of others in turn allows you to grow your connection. So I've got one final kind of like story or example. So a couple of months ago, I was teaching I was actually teaching a networking session, and Neha put together her very first LinkedIn post. She used Canva, and you'll see that this is Canva. You can get a little better idea. She used Canva, and what she did was she tagged me and the other person who was hosting me. She used a bunch of hashtags. The recommended number of hashtags is 3 to 5 for the best results, just FYI. And then she summarized some of the key points from my workshop. You look at all the action that she got on here. There were 28 reactions, and she had 8 comments. So brand new, never posted before. She knocked it out of the park. There's a great example. And I need to get on Canva. I'm not on there using that tool, and I know it's really, really useful. So it's on my list. So this is your way to grow your career. One last quick story. I work really hard to stay connected with my network. And a couple of years ago, someone in LinkedIn messages sent out that there was a part-time temporary career coach position open at Harvard School for Public Health. I was looking for a part-time higher ed job at the time. I reached out. After a couple of interviews, I ended up landing the job. I ended up being there for a year and a half to boot. So by staying top of mind, you never know when someone might actually reach out to you about an opportunity. So things go, you help others and they may help you back. It's great. Okay. Any more questions popping up? We've got a little bit more time. We've got some more demos I'm going to do as we go a little bit deeper into how to use informational interviews and how to use LinkedIn to find people. But just checking in with Melissa to see if anybody's curious about something or has a comment.
Yes, we have a question. A student asked, how does sharing something help?
How does sharing something help? Okay, so what happens for most individuals is you strengthen your connection to your existing community, so that, let's just say, I'm looking for a career counselor role, and Melissa sees that I share content every once in a while, and Melissa has an open position. Well, even if I haven't talked to Melissa in 5 years, if she sees my content once in a while, she's going to feel like she still knows me a little bit. And then when that job, I find out about her job that's open and I'm sending my resume in, I'm still known to her. That's a really solid example. But it can also be that you can end up connecting with more people. I've gone back and forth commenting on someone's second level to me, not direct connection, but second level. We've gone back and forth a couple of times and then decided to connect. It happened just yesterday on the MBTI. I was writing about MBTI Myers-Briggs, and I actually did it. I reached out to someone. I said, so nice to talk with you. She was in HR. I thought it'd be interesting to have her as a first level connection because she made some nice comments on my post. So the more people who know me, if I'm ever looking for a job, it's going to be so much more helpful because it's not just that person like Melissa that I know. It can also be, oh, wait, I can see through LinkedIn. Melissa knows someone at NYU, and that's where applying to the job. Hey, Melissa, do you know that director in NYU well enough to maybe let her or him know I'm applying for the job? And that's where it gets really cool. These second level connections where magic can happen. I've watched it happen so many times, especially with using informational interviews. So let me see if there's any more questions, because I love the thoughtfulness of that. Yeah, how's this really going to help me? How is this going to make a difference? Because you don't have much time. Yeah. Anything else popping up before I go into the informational interviews? Good for the moment? Oh, you're on mute. I'm just going to say, looks like you're good. We're good. I see your head nod.
Yes,
Good.
we're good.
Great. All right. Let's dive into this. I want you to now kind of start to use LinkedIn in a more savvy, even more savvy way. Groups themselves might be marginally helpful. There can also be a lot of junk in them. I'm going to be totally frank with you. But if you're in a group with someone, you can message a fellow group member using a free account, even if you're not connected. Let me just say that one more time. If I join a group, let's say of real estate agents, because I'm thinking about, hey, maybe I want to become a real estate agent, I can now message anyone in that group with messaging, even if I'm not connected to them. So it's this nice way to bypass asking, do you want to be connected? Because not everybody wants to connect with strangers. So we're going to circle back to that after, and I'm going to give a demo of how to make this happen. And this is also described on your handout. And it's also described, demoed in a video, because there's quite a few steps to it. So, but let me find out if you know about informational interviewing. Some of you have done them, and some of you are like scratching your head. What is this word? And is it me in an interview, or what's the story? So Melissa, if you can pop up the poll, we will find out what's your status with this term, informational interviews, and dive into what the heck does it mean. And if any of you would be interested who've actually done one, as I'm talking about it, if you want to add in some details into chat, it's so helpful for other people who haven't done them yet, especially current students. How did you do it? Or what were questions you asked? Or what was it like? If anybody who's done them wants to add that into chat, it's super helpful. Okay, so I'll turn it back over to Melissa. And you can share out results. All right. So we've got a couple of you who have done it and either highly recommend or it's been pretty good. And then another small amount that haven't done it but have heard of it. And then the majority of you haven't heard of it. So I'm going to take a little bit of time to really explain this in this next part. Okay. What we're going to discover is this is not you being interviewed, but the opposite. And I want to share a story from a long time ago. I was in a situation where I knew I was going to be laid off. It was coming. One company had bought out another. I was working for American Tourister, and Samsonite had just bought us out. This is a very long time ago. I was working in marketing. So in college, I had done some I'd done some play in the category of ropes courses rock climbing. But I was interested in outdoor education. And I thought, well, why don't I go talk to people about this outdoor, these ropes courses and outdoor education and whatever. So there was a ropes course kind of demo going on, or class. I reached out to them and said, can I come watch? I was essentially doing an informational interview when I was asking, what is it like to be an outdoor education coordinator? And how do you manage these ropes courses? And it was at a private school for kids with special needs. It was so interesting and exciting. And I spent a couple hours there and really got to know the person who ran that program. Fast forward about 6 months, I heard through the grapevine while volunteering that Dawn, who I had met at the school, was looking for a ropes course outdoor education kind of assistant. guess what? A couple of conversations, a couple of interviews later, I landed the job. It was so perfect because I needed a job because I was going back to grad school and I needed something part-time. So this informational interview is you being curious, is learning, finding out about an industry, a job type, or what skills should I add in? So all these different categories can be informational interview topics. Sometimes it's, do I want to be with a startup or do I want to be with a larger, more defined corporate structure? Or what's the company culture like here? All kinds of reasons for informational interviews. You're essentially planting a seed, growing your network, because maybe later on, you may find a job that's open and be able to circle back to that person and say, it was great to talk to you 6 months ago. I'm really interested in the XYZ position that you have open in that other department. Could I talk to you for 5 minutes? Would be so helpful as I think about crafting my cover letter and the rest of my application materials. Love to ask you a few questions. Okay, that person might even forward your resume to the hiring manager or the HR department if they thought you were a good potential candidate. This is how you grow to the top of the pile when it comes to hiring or interviewing, at least. So you're asking for advice. You're never asking for a job. You don't even need to call it an informational interview. You could just say, love to get some information about or some insights about, or I'm interested in X. You can ask for 10 minutes. It can be on the phone or Zoom, and you can use LinkedIn to find people, which is what we're going to do in just a minute. But a little tiny bit more about them. I posted the question on LinkedIn itself. Hey, what do you think of informational interviews? I had 20 comments. And I said, scale of 1 to 10, what's your thought? Well, I had people saying it's 10. Great exposure for everyone. Someone else said, I introduce info interviews at the high school level. And someone else said, info interviews were invaluable in deciding to start my own business. I was well informed and I moved with confidence. These helpful individuals later became my coaches, my role models, and I'll always be grateful. Yeah, very cool. What might come about when we reach out to others, when we have the courage to do that, because some are not going to say yes. So we just have to have a little bit of armor against rejection and say, it's okay. I'm going to reach out to 10 people and I'm going to hope 1 or 2 say yes to having a dialogue with me. That's what I recommend. So we're going to jump in and I'm going to show you how do you use groups to reach out to people and ask for this casual insights meeting or, gain a little exposure, learn about someone's career change, etc. Okay, let me just take us to the homepage. What I'm going to do is I'm a trainer. So in this demo, and I'm going to make this screen a little bigger because it's probably harder to see. All right. I am going to put in the word trainer and hit enter in my top bar. This is going to give me ridiculous numbers and then I wouldn't be able to sort through. It'd be too hard. It's giving me jobs. I'm going to have to click the people button because that's where I'm headed. So if that comes up and you get jobs, just switch it over to people. Yeah, 4.6 million. Okay. The next thing I need to do is I need to go to all filters right here. And I need to add in some more criteria to get this number down. I'm going to choose second level because then we at least have one person in common. I live in Providence, Rhode Island. So under locations, I'm going to start typing in Providence. I have to keep going until it populates. And then I have to select the populated word. Otherwise it doesn't work. I could look at a particular company or past company. I could choose people who went to Mass College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences right from here. The next box, though, I'm going to click is industry because I really want to talk to someone who selected coaching and training as their industry. Okay. Now, some other criteria I could choose if I wanted to would be actual job title. So you could be in here and say medical liaison or physical therapist. Put the actual job title in if you wish. I'm going to leave that blank and do show results. So what happens now is I can go through these 20 people and I can see who stands out to me. It's a much more manageable list. And I might be like, oh, here's a leadership development, Miriam Goldsmith. Now, if and only if you share a group with someone, you can then message them. So if you join some Mass College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences groups and other groups related to your profession, then you're going to probably overlap with more people than you might realize. Now, I've actually already pre-screened this one. Miriam's a second level to me, but I know that she has a group in common. This is how I know. There's a highlights box. If you have no highlights box, it means you don't have overlapping group with them. You can go find someone else or see what groups this person's in, join that group so you can message them. That's an option. But let's take this example to the next level. So I'm going to go up here. I'm going to copy her name. And if you want Melissa, I've got a video, 4 minutes, that demos this. If people want to check that out later when they get to the point that they're doing this themselves, let's drop that in. So I'm clicking on Miriam. I copied Miriam's name. Now I'm going to go into the mutual group we have, my Rhode Island network group. Once I'm on this screen, the thing you need to know is I'm going to go to the right-hand side where it talks about the number of members, and the button says see all. This is the way I can get in and see these 15,000 people and drop her name in. Boom. Now, if I click here, I'm going to go right back to her profile, and it's going to say you have to have premium LinkedIn. I have a free account. I don't pay anything for my LinkedIn account, okay? But from here, inside the group, I can now send a message. And I've got some examples on my website. How do you actually ask? If you go to the LinkedIn tab on Sabrina-Woods, you'll see a whole Google Docs center just for you. I've got the handout you have in front of you, makeovers for scientists, but right here, sample request. How do I ask? So you can pop in here and you can look at how do you make a direct ask. You can also look at ask for an introduction. That's when I go, hey, Melissa, I want to ask you a favor. I'm wondering if you know Kendra Wilson at NYU well enough to introduce me. So I'm giving it to you. There's one more example down below. So a couple different ways to ask, and boom, questions. What are you going to say once they say yes? I want you to feel free to go into this Google Doc, copy these questions, and then customize. Choose the ones you like. Lots of choices there. All right, coming back here, oh good, I've got enough time. What I'm going to show you next is the alumni page. So we're going to pop up here. You know what? Your page is so long. Your title is so long. I'm going to use one that's a little tiny bit faster for me. So what I'm doing now is I went to Northeastern University. You know what though? I realize I've got to back up a little bit because I'm still inside this group. So bear with me. I'm going to click the home page. So I'm clicking enter, and then I'm going to have a lot of different options across the top. So you could go ahead and drop in your college. And then what you want is the schools button. Again, so many different choices here. This is listed on your handout. Once you click the schools button, I can go to the Northeastern University schools page. This is where I can see fellow alumni. And if you love data, you're going to love this section. All right, here's the alumni section right here. So I'm going to click on that. Now, all 252,000 alumni are listed down below, but now I can sort them in 6 ways, as well as putting in a keyword right here. So I can type in, I'm sorry, I'm using this example twice, but I can just put in the word pharmacist, and then down below, I'm going to see all of them, right? So I'm going to clear that off so you can now see some other ways to do searches. 6 categories are where they live. maybe you know you're making a move and you're heading to San Francisco, okay? So you can then look at all your fellow alums who are in San Francisco. You can look at where do they work, or you can add a particular name of a hospital, for example, right in there. If you use the arrow button here, it'll allow you to see 2 more categories. Now I can talk category of what they do, or what did they study? What they studied can be perfect for you. Go in and match the program that you did. Okay, you did nursing, you did PT. You could say, I want to look at San Francisco and I want to look at all these other physician's assistants or medical liaisons or pharmacy managers or hospital administrators in San Francisco who are alumni. And then if you share a group with them, bingo, you can message them right here in LinkedIn. So I love this tool. It opens up so much to us. Okay, I'm going to pause for questions, but while I do this, I want you to get your LinkedIn URL ready. I'm going to show you where that is. When you click, if you want to take a moment, open up your own LinkedIn if you don't have it open already. When you're on your profile page, the very top is your LinkedIn profile URL. Because in a few moments, I'm going to give you the opportunity to share that with others. But before we do that, let's see if anybody has some specific questions. What's happening, Melissa?
Yeah, so also I just wanted to let you know, turn my camera on, I added in the MCPHS, the student alumni, or the alumni student LinkedIn page.
Perfect.
So link right to that, so you can all join and connect with that group.
Good.
And I don't have any questions right now.
Okay. So what we're gonna
can I actually
add? You can ask questions, and I have other things I can demo too, because we do have just a few more minutes. I saved time for questions, but I could do more things and answer yours, Melissa.
So actually, it's one statement. It's one of, so when I'm working with one of my cohorts is the PA students. So oftentimes when I'm working with them, helping them with their LinkedIn profile and helping them connect with alumni, they're graduating in May, they're trying to see where other alums are working, who else they should be connected to. And one of the things that I suggest is if they find someone's profile that looks interesting to them, or they say, that's the, the type of PA I want to be, or pharmacist or healthcare business student I want to be, and I want to look at that person's profile. I always tell them to go down and look at the organizations that they're following, the professional associations, because so many times there might be groups that they don't even know anything about. And so for me, I find that sometimes the most interesting thing about someone's profile, especially if you've got a healthcare business student and they want to be in a particular area, they found, whether it's alums or just people who are working in area hospitals, that, they say someday, I want that job after I get my bachelor's degree and experience maybe another master's. I'll say, go look at their professional associations. Who are they part of? What are they following? And then join those groups. So they may not be, sorry, the dog has got a squeaky toy. They may not be following that group, but that's a perfect way to find out those groups that they may never otherwise known about. And then when they're in that group, then they can start doing, the email connect through that messenger, because they're now part of that association or that group.
Absolutely. And that top search bar is where you can put in all kinds of different keywords. And like, you might be, I'm actually interested in sustainability within healthcare. I might even put sustainability and the word health and see what pops up. I can click on, then you have to click on groups, and then I'll see any words that had 687 had health and sustainability. And you might scroll through there and you might discover, wow, look at this group. It's more niche-y and it's more what I'm thinking about, what's important to me. So lots of ways for us to find this. You can also look for hashtags. So let me just clear this. All right, so I'm just going to stay with that sustainability just for a second. And then what I'm doing is I'm going to look at the word content or posts, actually, as they changed it to. I can do it that way. And then any word sustainability showing up in a post, or I can do hashtag, because a lot of people hashtag their content. And now I can see posts when people hashtag the word sustainability, and I can just scroll through it and see what when that word is popping up. So much potential on here for getting information and connecting with people. The one other thing I want to open for us so that we have time to get this information is I want to have Melissa drop in what's called a Jamboard. And I'm going to go and show you what this looks like. So take a moment and watch me, and I'll explain what we're doing. And then you could open up a new window and you can get into this Jamboard with the link Melissa's going to give you. What we're using here is this Google tool that allows us to share information. So I'm inviting you to add your name, your industry or job title or both, and then that LinkedIn URL. And remember earlier, I said, when you're on your own profile right here, so when their profile's up, it's the link at the very top. That's your LinkedIn URL. You just want to grab that, okay? And then how Jamboard works, super simple. The fourth icon down on the left is a sticky note. You can pop it open. I can drop in my whatever, I thought I had my LinkedIn URL. I'll go back and I'll grab that again. I've already got mine in here, but I'm just doing a quick demo. So I can add maybe that's Northeastern's where I used to work. So I can add that, and then I can pop it up, and then I can hit cancel. And if I messed up, because look I forgot my name, the 3 dots will let me edit it. So I can go back in and I can add Sabrina Woods, comma. It doesn't let you return at all, but it will let you do commas. And I can change the color. Woo, maybe I want to be pink today. And then I can move it around. So your invitation is, if you put your name up here and your LinkedIn URL, the invitation is that you could go ahead and connect with each other, and perhaps you do practice informational interviews with each other. How good would that be? Especially if you're a current student or recent alum, recent grad, and you just want someone to practice on. And you never know, you might be in the supply chain area of pharmacy and you're connecting with someone who's a PA, but you might be able to help each other. That's what I love to emphasize. So I'll have you take a moment and you can go for it, and you can use this Jamboard link. Melissa, had you already dropped it in there? Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah, did you send me the Jamboard link?
Oh, okay. Let me give it to you, everyone, right now, because we can do that. So not to worry. I can go and copy this link. And it was in a separate email is what happened.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I sent it more recent, just 2 days ago. Okay, all no worries. This link should work.
Okay.
So go ahead and click on it and see if that will bring you in. Great. I'm already seeing people popping in there. So one more time, I'll show. Fourth one down is where you get the sticky note. You add your details, change the color, hit save, and then cancel. And then once it's in, you can move it around, because they all tend to come in on top of each other. So it's good if you move them after it happens. So I'm just moving people out of there. I wish that the Jamboard little sticky notes would automatically move to a new spot. That would be a little better. That'd be my complaint, but that's okay. So again, once you move it in, you can just move it over. And you guys are getting the hang of it. So once your name's on there, go for it and add in your LinkedIn URL as well. Or you could put your email if you want to put that. You're the only people that have access to this. Yeah, great. And I want to mention one more kind of little thing to keep in mind. A sneaky, not sneaky, but a best practices. It's a little bit of gentle stalking, I guess. Let's pretend maybe you had an internship, at Mass General, MGH a little while ago, like 2 years ago, and you really want to stay connected to the person that was your boss. Well, you can go into LinkedIn, and I'm going to go to Melissa right now to show you how to do this. Doesn't even matter if you're first level connection. Pretend that Melissa is my old internship supervisor. If Melissa actively posts on LinkedIn, it'll show up in her activity section. So I can go in and I can see if she's actively created any posts, if they were hers. Now I looked at Melissa earlier and I mostly saw some likes and comments and stuff, but let's just pretend she posted this one about fourth brain instead of fourth brain in honor of Women's History Month. I can make a comment, and a great comment to do is say something you like about the post and then ask a question, because you get a nice little back and forth. This process is helping you stay top of mind to those people that it's easy to get disconnected from because you worked for them 2 years ago. So just a fun, slightly, it's gentle stalking, I call it sometimes, is maybe you met somebody at a career fair, or maybe you interviewed with someone last year and you didn't land that internship or that job, but you're like, I'm still really interested in that company. Why not see if she or he is posting and have some dynamic interaction? Becoming known in a positive way to these other people, or staying known, is so good for your network. Okay, we have just one more moment here, and I'm going to circle back to the PowerPoint and just say one more thing, which is my suggested 5 next steps would be, if you've got a little tiny bit of time on your hand, customize that headline, make your about summary future focused and strong. Consider adding in a media link, that featured media link. You can join some groups and participate on your homepage and ask for that micro informational interview. And that is what I have. And you're also welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn. And if you have any cool stories, please send them my way, because about every other year I teach this LinkedIn session, and I would love to have real stories from your group to bring back to your group in the next year or two. All right, that is it. Thank you so much. I'm happy to stick around.